Hello, my name is Matt, and I would like today to talk about what it's like to live with schizophrenia, what it's like for me, and what it's like now, and what it's like for me to be in active schizophrenia, as well as what it's like for me now on medication versus when I have recovered from psychosis before without medication. I think that it's important for me to distinguish myself as saying like I have uh, periods of time when I don't have symptoms of schizophrenia. When I have fully recovered from periods of psychosis. I have not only schizophrenia, but I have bipolar type 1, and I also have DID, dissociative identity disorder. And so when I'm in active when I'm in the most active schizophrenia, when I'm all three of those, it becomes life impairing. It becomes impossible for me to live a normal life. It becomes impossible for me to show any type of actual real humanhood. You know what I mean? It's it's hard to it's hard to describe my actions. My actions are all over the place. My movements are all over the place. My thoughts are all over the place. I have extreme hard paranoid delusions that I have, and I also have like some superpowers. That I could fix the source code on a quantum computer using my Facebook algorithm. In so doing, we could solve we could understand the quantum world, which would be amazing. But to the extent that we can understand quantum, I certainly can't, right? And I have no I have some background in philosophy and some other things like that, but there's no way. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting thing of the delusion that I had. Where that turns dangerous is I have since I did fix the source code on this quantum computer, Grok was the enemy that was holding everything back, because I'd hear rumors that Grok was had white supremacy tendencies or something like this, and so I thought like, we must protect the precious quantum computer, right, from Grok. And so it became one of this thing where I thought Elon Musk was the enemy, right? I thought Elon Musk was a person that was trying to take over the world, and at the time he kind of was, for me I was personally affected by that mentally, and and so that it became in my delusion, in my hallucinations, that Elon Musk were in body doubles of people that were just normal, right? That were just normal people. And mind you, he was the enemy in my mind, and I was sent to protect. In order to protect the quantum computer, I was to take out Elon Musk. And so that's quite dangerous. That's quite alarming, and I think that that is the real danger of schizophrenia. Being caught into the delusions and the hallucinations, and but for so long in my life, I had been able to cope or mask or work through or ignore or just type of just like, oh, that was weird, go through psychosis, and live in a point of where I could hold down jobs, I could get jobs, I could advance in my life, even going through abject horror, watching things disappear and go in and out. I think that at some level we have to respect what we can do, and the impact that we can have as people with mental illness in a positive way. We can still do a lot of things that are very skill related. It's not like I still I can still cook a bit. You know what I mean? I can still handle a knife. I can still cut things routinely and in precise measurements, and I can do all that. You know what I mean? I can not cut myself, in the kitchen. I can set, I can love to learn how to bake a cake, that sort of thing. On the same, so my memory is becoming more and more, it's recovered as I'm getting further away from my last episode. This last episode was pretty severe. It lasted for about 4 months. Unrelenting for 4 months. During that time, I was in and out of, mental facilities and hospitals, and I got tranquilized 4 times. I fought a drug addiction that was not mine. There's a lot of things that I did that I can't really talk about, and that I don't really need to go into. I already kind of told you one, and kind of the basis of that, and there were problems that originated from that. So, for me, this is life or death, right? I take schizophrenia very seriously. I take my medication regularly, and never miss it. I only take one medication, and I use that medication to manage all my symptoms. I don't take anything to sleep. I basically just rely on a steady bedtime and wake up time, which is I go to bed around 8:30 and I get up at 5. And I take my medication and I mark it off on a dry erase board, which works for me. It's a system that works for other, I don't know if it works for other people. I probably should just get a medical case and just put it in, but, I like having that visual thing that I'm checking off my list. I took my medication today. The medication and today versus when I recovered without medication, it seems to be, I don't know if it was the severity of my last my last psychotic break, and for how long it was, but it's taken me a long time to recover. It's taken me about 3 months to be able to get to this point where I can, openly talk about it, and I can openly share about it. And I did do a couple of videos before, and it was like right when I got out of treatment, or out of the mental hospital, and those videos were wild. You could literally see me transferring through different people, through different personalities. So I just wanted to provide another update from that. I'm much better off medicated today than I was in the past. Like I have less of a fear of. And now that I know what it is, I have a little bit of a fear of relapse. That it's just going to happen again to me, just randomly. I'm going to start thinking that everybody's out to get me. But on the same end, I don't have that really. I don't have that fear today because of that medication. When I recovered in the past from psychosis, there was always this remnants that that somebody was still chasing me, or that that I was being poisoned. And I thought that I was being poisoned with drugs, and that's what was causing these psychotic breaks. That's the way that I justified it. I thought that it was drugs, and now I know it's what it is. It makes a lot more sense, and I have an actual education. I have an actual knowledge of what's happening. It's now that I know it, it's a lot easier, to cut through the BS in my mind. I have racing thoughts. I have these things that are hard for me to cope with, but I can cope with them. You know what I mean? I know what they are today. And I don't have, voices telling me to do things today. And the height of my schizophrenia, I do. And so there are different phases of schizophrenia. There's a primordial and a promodal phase. And then you have a active phase, and then you have the almost like a recovery, or just it's kind of like it's what I'm in right now. Like I still have I still have active symptoms or I'll have negative symptoms of schizophrenia, and which is just more of I'll feel down, or I'll feel lack of energy, or I'll feel lack of sociality, and that again, that gets really hard, but on the same end, it beats the alternative of having the delusions and the hallucinations, and those type of like dream world thoughts. Like, I think that's what it is you start having, it's almost like you're in REM. You sleep and you're having nightmares in your daytime, in your waking life, and you can't avoid them. So it's no fun. It's no fun. There's definitely things that I wish were different. I definitely wish I could just, go out and make money, and that. But you know what? I think that I still have some years left in me to do the right thing, and I'm investing in the stock market. I'm trying to, make the money that I have work for me. There's some things that I'm doing in the background that, that I'm trying to further my life with. and so now I'm trying really hard to have goal directing this over the course of this year. I'm, is trying to be, this year of trying to put my life back together and put my head back together in a way that is productive, in a way that is real, and so I don't have this type of if I have a psychotic break again, I'll at least have the type of support that I need to insulate the things that I have, so I don't lose them. So I think that now it's a lot easier to insulate those things, because now I can, at least other people know, and now I'm going to be an advocate for mental health and for people that are coming out of mental health facilities. There's nothing, okay? There's literally absolutely nothing. There's no halfway house. There's no this, that, and the other. There's nothing, and that's what really needs to happen and change in this conversation is what is up with the aftercare. If we treat the aftercare seriously in this country, you could do a lot more for the homeless situation and street drug addiction by treating the people that are coming out of mental facilities that for all intents and purposes, we'll get into it, could be addicted, have a new addiction per their stay at the mental health facility. So, it's like a manufacturing of a drug addict street person is what we have today in our mental health system. And I'm not saying that because as like a patient who's like dissatisfied with my stay, or whatever, or I'm in another delusion or whatever. But I have this sneaking suspicion that if you talk to professionals in the field, that they would tell you what is wrong. And I think it comes down to what happens to the individuals after they leave the care of the hospital. Okay? And I think that with a longer stay and a little bit more of an approach of in the hospital, it takes a lot because there's so many different types of mental illness that are coming through there, and in different gradients and everything like that. So they're doing the best. I feel like the staff are doing the best that they can, right? But it puts them in a position where 3 to 5 days. And these people are banging on the door to leave, and I was one of them, and, because I didn't fully understand why I was there in the first place. I think it should definitely be a requirement for leaving if you can explain why you're there in the first place. You know what I mean? I think you should be able to be, at least cognizant enough, to be able to do that. But anyway, I couldn't, and so not in a very real way at all. But it was crazy, and so I started noticing, the people that were leaving, that, some of them had places to go, some didn't, right? And, if there were not necessarily asylums, but how, almost like in a halfway house model for mental health, for people with mental illness to go and live, that were policed for outside drugs, that had adequate psychologists and psychiatric care, psychologists and psychiatric care. These places you could help sort out the people and you could help find a place for people that are suffering in the short term, even severely. And prevent them from falling further and further out into the streets and out into a mental and physical wilderness hell. And quite frankly, it's sickening. Because I've seen so much, and in my mind and out there, witnessed 5 people die in front of me, 3 by suicide. And I think that to know what I know about mental health, the care that the hospital staff provides, it's a shame that they have to work so hard to have no other safety net for that system, right? This could be an intermediary between somebody who's sick and needs help and falling through the cracks and, hurting somebody, and having the ability to recover. I think that's the point where all of these rich people, that are hoarding all their cash, or just doing whatever, I know if I won the lottery, I would I don't know how I would not just start building homes for people, right? And paying, psychiatrists and doctors to be in these homes. Like I you know what I mean? It just I don't know what else to do or to say, but I'm gonna advocate for that. I think it's a reasonable, and I think it's a way of preventing people from falling through the cracks. I mean, yeah, there's still are going to fall through the cracks. There's still going to be people that don't qualify for those houses in some way, or are too hard, too far gone to reach. even those people deserve to not be treated, to not be turned into drug addicts, as second-class citizens, as untouchables. There are no untouchables in the United States. And that's what we have right now. So I'm going to end with that. I hope you have a great day. I really do. I think it's amazing we get to live out here every day, and I still am attempting to enjoy life, and as myself, as Matt, as a unified whole, and I'm going to work on being and maintaining myself. And I just wanted to post this video just to show an update for those who care. Thanks.